So, Mr. Wrangel, thank you to have you here tonight. Just a quick question. How many languages actually do you speak?
Well, actually only one, only German. But no. Of course, we communicate since more than 25 years with our clients, mainly in English, from all over the world. But besides, I learned Russian in the German army, English and French at school, Arabic for some years because I studied at the American University in Cairo. And now I'm learning Farsi because I have quite a lot of clients from Kuwait who left Iran more than 40 years ago. And just to understand the culture of the people, get acquainted to their way of thinking, how these people would like to invest, because we are not only the immigration lawyers, we are sitting together with them to develop their business here in Germany. It's good to understand the language of the people, to get to know to the families who are coming in most cases with the immigrants to Germany. We are the first immigration country in Europe.
How, what kind of immigrants are we talking about? Because immigrants normally has a very bad touch in Germany. Everyone thinks on refugees, but you are dealing with different kind of immigrants. Maybe you can describe your clients a bit further.
Well, most of my clients are wealthy because they have a business abroad. They want to establish a business here in Germany. And we have mainly three things to sell, or three reasons why the people mainly come to Germany from non-EU countries. The first reason is we are a stable country. Second, we are giving them freedom to travel with a German residence permit, or later on if they wish to have a citizenship. And we have one of the best health systems in Europe, which give the people the possibility to be treated in German hospitals.
Sorry, Mr. Wrangel, just a quick one. We got a comment from one of our listeners that we should speak a bit louder in the microphone. I hope you can hear us. If something else is not working, please let us know. Okay, sorry, I was interrupting.
Yeah. No, so you were asking me what kind of steps one should take if one intends to come to Germany and get a residence permit.
This is a very typical question. So many of our customers, when they're looking to rent or buy property here in Germany, the first question is actually, how do I do this? How can I apply for a citizenship or a resident, a working permit? This is a very typical question. Maybe you can explain a little bit how that works.
Just generally, but the first point which I would recommend to everyone who would like to come here for different reasons to Germany is to consult his tax advisor in order to get to know the consequences of getting a residency in Germany. Mm-hmm. Because in most cases, there are double tax agreements between the country from where you're coming and Germany, which regulate the main core the questions of where you have to pay taxes for your income.
Okay.
One could shortly say the taxes have to be paid in that country from where you get the income. Mm-hmm. But there are countries where a double tax agreement does not exist between both countries. For example, Qatar, what I have seen. Okay. And there, the residency in Germany would have the consequence that you have to pay German taxes for your world income.
Okay.
I mean, including the income you have in Qatar, where you don't pay any taxes as a citizen of Qatar. That means here, the getting a residence permit for tax reasons would be very negative. Mm-hmm. But in most cases, these are very small exceptions. For example, if we have been together in Kuwait, there is a double tax agreement, so it's not a problem. If you get your income from other countries, you settle here, and then you might get an income from this country. So this is the first step.
Okay.
If you're coming over that step, you should decide where you would like to live in Germany. Mm-hmm. And you should consult the foreigner office in order to get to know the ways of getting a residency for what you would like to do. Mm-hmm. We have both clients and customers who just want to get the residency without working here in Germany. We have both clients who would like to work in Germany, who would like to do vocational training, study, or whatever. So this is the first step after consulting your tax advisor. Where you want to live, and then what would you like to do?
But how does it work? I mean, most of the immigrants or the potential immigrants, they're not only looking on Germany, so they're also looking at other countries. So when they reach out to you, to your law firm, what are the typical questions they have? So first, we discuss the tax. What else do they have? Is it a very long process, or how does it work?
No. I have seen this a lot on immigration events abroad, where representatives from different countries, lawyers and not lawyers, inform the customers about the advantages to come to their country, to get a residency there, and then to move forward freely, for example, in the European Union. We take, for example, Lithuania or Greece or some other countries. You can get a residency by buying real estate, which is not possible in Germany. It is much easier if you look at our law. Why is it easy? In those countries, you really have to buy that. You have to invest the money, and afterwards, you can apply for the residency. In Germany, we have a regulation in our Foreigners Act, which says that in other cases than those mentioned in the German foreigners law, a person can be given a residence permit. What does it mean? We have very little court decisions about these questions. There is one court decision from the year 2000 and I think 10 years from the court in Stuttgart regarding an American citizen, a pensioner who just would like to come here and to live in Germany. So the court had to decide about the conditions to get such a residence permit. And there are mainly two conditions. The first is you should have a regular income which covers your costs so that you can make your living here, the costs for livelihood. Mm-hmm. And the second main issue is you should have health insurance. This woman could prove both. She got a regular income from her pension and her health insurance question was...
What kind of income did she generate from?
A pension from America. It was, you mean the amount?
Yes.
About $1,100 only.
Okay.
So there is a court decision. The foreigner office of the place where she wanted to live didn't agree to give it to her, so the court forced them to give this residence permit.
So technically speaking, with 1,100 euros pension, the court basically you get the permission to live in Germany, correct?
In her case, you have to look at each case.
Okay.
Because everyone has another kind of income and other kind of obligations towards his children or his wife. Yeah. So this was a woman who was living alone with no obligations, and she just wanted to live here. So the level in order to get the residence permit was very low in her case. I'll give you another example. Yeah. I recently made it from a client from Kuwait. He could prove a regular income of 10,000 euros, and it was not a problem at all to get the residence permit for him.
But the income is not in Germany.
It's not in Germany.
Okay.
He didn't want to work here because his main work was there. He had a company and the people were working for him there.
Yeah.
But he decided to move here. So this was the easiest way. He didn't have to buy the property, although on the long run, it is much better to buy than to pay for the rent. And he didn't have to learn any German word. We had to solve the question of the health insurance for him because everyone who lives in this country needs a health insurance. And this is sometimes problematical. If you have people who are not healthy Some health insurance don't want to let them in. And sometimes you have to force them. So now I'm suing the biggest health insurance company of Germany for that issue because the client is not healthy and it would cause a lot of money in order to...
So just to go back to our general question. So basically we have different clients with different kinds of income.
Yeah.
So every case is different. So let's say we have a client, a lady who is only having a small pension. So what happens? She contacts you and says, Mr. Wrangel, I would like to live in Germany. I have no idea. What can I do? What are my concrete steps? What shall I do?
My first question to her is, what is she going to do here in Germany? Okay. Does she want to work here?
Yeah.
Does she want to create a company and being self-employed as a director of that company? Or does she want just to live here and get her pension or income from abroad?
So let's make this simple case. She doesn't want to work. She just wants to live here.
Yeah.
So what does she need to do?
She sends me her papers about her regular income. Then she tells me where she wants to live.
Okay.
And we get into contact with the foreigner office.
In that province or state?
In that place.
Yeah.
And we ask them, according to that law, whether they agree to give her a residence permit.
So what kind of reasons do these immigration offices have to give or not to give the permit?
The law says that it is at the discretion of the authority to give this kind of residence permit.
Okay.
Since we are working all over Germany, we have very different experience about using that paragraph. For example, the authorities in Munich are very comfortable with that issue. You send it to them, they see that you can live without any social help from Germany, you have the money from abroad, so come here, present us the health insurance and live here.
Okay.
In other places, for example, in Baden-Baden, the local foreigner office cannot decide by itself. They have to ask the higher authority to agree to that issue. So it's a longer process.
Okay.
What
else does she need? So I basically have to prove my income.
Yeah.
Then I tell you, Mr. Wrangel, I would like to live in Berlin or in Brandenburg or in Leipzig or in Munich or another other city. So what else do I have to prove? An address where I live, or what else is important? Or that's it?
No, that's and your health insurance question, because this is a point where a lot of non-EU citizens don't imagine the problems which can arise in practice when they want to present these insurance questions to the foreigner office. Sometimes they cannot, they are just refused.
Okay.
And you should calculate for positive health insurance a monthly payment for an adult of about 750 euros, which is quite a lot.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why...
So how did this lady prove it with 1,100 euros if the health insurance is 750?
Her American insurance was valid for Europe as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Good. So because we just have 20 minutes left for the general interview, so the next point is here. My notes is: can we in Germany when you have the 3 month? I think the tourist visa is 3 months. If you come to Germany,
yes,
I can visit your office and I can have an appointment with you.
Yeah,
and you then tell me, okay, Achim, this is what I have to do, or Mr. Ammann, or the client, you know. This is something I have to do. What do you do then? So basically the client or your mandate will sit in Germany and wait until you run through the process within the 3 months, or how long does it take?
Well, in most cases, my clients do not have to come to my office. Okay. I communicate with them via Zoom or Skype or in other electronic ways.
Yeah.
We write each other emails. And then we start this issue without his presence in Germany, because now in the Corona times, traveling around just makes you lose time. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
You do it from your place where you are now.
Okay.
And then you send me the informations which I need in order to start the process.
Mm-hmm.
My recommendation is always, before you come here, clear these questions with the local place where you want to live. And sometimes these local authorities don't give you any information.
Well, that I imagine, yeah, especially if you don't speak the language in German, yeah.
Yes, but look, for example, at Berlin. We have the biggest foreign office here with most of the workers here. Not all of them have the knowledge in order to answer your detailed questions. So they have to go to someone who has the knowledge in their authority, and it takes time. Mm-hmm. I had it very often that they just refuse to answer you. But you need some security before you buy real estate here.
Of course.
So I'm doing that with authorities which are close to this place, where I know the persons, I communicate with them. There you get your residency and you're comfortable with it.
How long does it take to get the residency?
From the starting point until you have the residence card, according to my experience, about 6 months.
Okay. What are the different kind of residences you can apply in Germany?
Yes, of course.
Maybe you can explain.
Well, depending on the purpose why you would like to come here.
Yeah.
We had a change of our immigration law, which is called in German Fachkräfteeinwanderungsgesetz, which came into effect on the 1st of March 2020.
So Fachkräfteeinwanderungsgesetz is for all our listeners or spectators today. It's a very funny long German word. It's I think we tried to translate it before. I don't think it's possible. I think it means you need to be a qualified worker or a skilled worker, and it means the immigration of skilled workforce to Germany, which is of course something the German economy needs. And I think this is what you're talking about.
This is the main point.
Yeah.
The German government has understood that we need every year 250,000 skilled workers to make the German industry run.
Yeah.
Because the the birth rates of German citizens is becoming less. So we are interested in getting those.
So what's a skilled worker? How can I prove that I'm a skilled worker?
You should make a difference between the sphere where you have your education. The easiest way for people to come here, according to this law, is now in the information technology.
Okay.
Before we had that law, you had to prove with a certificate that you are skilled in that field, and you had to prove some working experience. Now it's different.
So you don't have to prove that you have a job in Germany or that you might get a job with your application.
No, of course, it's different. You can get a visa with your proof for your either academic education or your vocational training, which you have, for 6 months in order to look for a job here.
Okay.
You have to prove that you have the money to make your living and the health insurance, but this is not a lot. So it's about 828 euros now, which we have for example, getting vocational training in Germany. So you can come here in order to look for a job. You can come here to do a vocational training, to study, or in a lot of cases, you can come here for working. And in that case, you need a proposal for a working contract.
Okay. So what happens, let's say I come to you and I say, okay, this I want to work. I'm a skilled worker. I'm a software engineer, or I'm specialized in artificial intelligence or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I come to you and say, I want to find a job. I think it's quite easy to find a job in Germany if you have these skills. So I can prove it by my degree, maybe a couple of years work experience in another country. But I have only 6 months to get a job. What happens if I get a job and then I lose the job? What happens then? Do I lose then my permit, or what does this mean?
Then the residence authority gives you the possibility to look for another job. Okay. But of course, in most cases, you should get the job before you come to Germany. By internet, looking at the websites which offer the job, which find new personnel.
Okay.
And then when you have that, the company which would like to engage you, and this is new according to this law as well, can speed up the process of getting a visa and a residency. And the way that they are going to the German authorities with the power of attorney of yourself, and they are presenting all the documents which they need, so that the authority gives an agreement to for the German embassy that you get that visa for working in that company.
Okay.
The intention was that you should get it in a time of about 2 months, but because of Corona, it's in practice sometimes longer.
Okay.
It depends. We have done this with our office with 2 non-EU citizens recently, and they are just flying here at the beginning of September, and they will directly apply in the foreigner office for their residence permit to work for the company.
So if I'm a student, let's say I want to study here in Germany, what do I have to do to get that?
Well, if you would like to study here, you need to get a study place. You need the German language knowledge, which is on the level of B1. B1 corresponds approximately to 400 hours of getting German lessons. And you should put at a German bank account about 10,000 euros. Now it's 9,936 euros, so that you can prove that you can make your livelihood, and you need a health insurance.
Okay, a health insurance.
For students, it's not so expensive.
Okay. There are special providers for health insurances for students in Germany, or?
Yes, a lot of them.
Okay. And you can do this all online, or?
You can do that without a problem online by opening the bank account. In most countries, I don't want to make advertising for any bank, but let's take, for example, the German bank.
Yeah.
There are representatives of those banks abroad.
Yeah.
You go to them, you open this bank account.
Okay.
And then you start. Of course, the most important is that you get the German knowledge. But I had cases where the people came here first with a visa in order to learn the German language. Within 1 year, they even got it. And afterwards, they were studying.
Okay. So the next question would be, when I have an education and I'm looking for a job, I just fly into Germany and I have the 6 months, which you already replied to, and then I get a job. How long do I get this permit to live in Germany?
It depends on the kind of residence permit you get for this job, because you can get a so-called blue card, which is given to non-EU citizens who have a quite high salary per year. It was reduced in this year. Now it's yearly 55,200 euros, and it's even less for occupations which the German industry needs. That means mathematicians, IT personnel, doctors, and we call these MINT-Berufe in German. So in these cases, it's only 43,000 per year. What you really need. It has the big advantage that...
Sorry, the question, how long does a contract run? So how long is the duration of my working permit then in German, or the blue card as you call it?
And the first time it's given, it depends on the foreigner office which gives it to you, because they would like to know whether you still are in work after 1 or 2 years. But in most cases, it can be given up to 4 years.
Okay.
And then you have the possibility to get the permanent residency with this blue card. Okay. And low German language knowledge is on the A1 level. That means...
Which level? E1?
It's A1.
A1, okay.
A1. And depending on your German knowledge, you can get the permanent residence permit even after 21 or 33 months. That's less than 3 years. And this is a way to get it quite fast.
Okay, so the German language is very important, right?
Of course, if you would like to live here. But look, for example, in the sphere of the computer programmers, they mostly communicate in English like we do it. or in the real estate as well.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is if I don't really know what kind of job I would like to do, is there any temporary situation I can apply for? Because otherwise I just have a tourist visa for 3 months.
Well, you have to make a difference between citizens who can come to Germany without a visa, and those who need a visa.
Okay.
Let's take, for example, American citizens, or a lot of requests came from British citizens who now would like to travel free in Europe as well. Let's take those who don't need a visa. They can go directly to the foreigner office here and apply for their residence.
Okay.
Whereas all the others need a visa.
Okay.
And this question will become crucial for the British citizens at the end of this year, from the beginning of next year. That's why a lot of people think about getting a German residence. And we had last year a lot of questions to get the German citizenships. And
from Britain.
From Britain, it was there. We have a rule of regarding the German citizenships, regarding those people who were forced to leave Germany during the fascist time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them could move to Great Britain, and they became British citizens. Mm-hmm. And if they can prove that they have been forced to do that, then a lot of them were applying for the German citizenships via the German embassy in London. And they got it. In other cases, they did not get it. It had to do with every single case. Mm. But I have clients come to me because they are looking for a secure place to be treated by the German hospitals.
Okay.
Or they just want to live here. And now we have the movement, because of Corona, that a lot of people want to get a residence in the European Union. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned before, it is not necessary to buy any property in Germany.
Okay. So if I have, we call that a residence permit in another country, let's say Greece or Cyprus, or another European country, can I live in Germany, or is it a...
You are only allowed to stay 3 months in Germany.
Okay.
With that residence title, except for such a title from Great Britain, Denmark, and Ireland. In those cases, you have to apply for a German residence permit in next year. For the British citizens, this will be crucial already. That's why I think personally they should apply for that this year, as long as they can travel freely. It has to do with the fact that a rule from the European Union from the year 2003 was adopted by most of the European countries, but not by these three. But let me tell you something from the practice. I've seen that on a lot of immigration events. The people go to the clients, tell them that you get a residence permit from Greece, Lithuania, or any other state where you buy property, and then you can come with that to Germany as well and live here longer than 3 months. It is not legal. Mm-hmm. You cannot do that.
That's important to know. Yeah. Okay.
So if your main intention is to live in this country, don't go to another country and try to get it in that way.
Okay. When I'm already living in Germany, mm-hmm. And I have a permit to live here, and I want to become a German citizen, how does this work? What I need to do?
Well, the first point is you need a residence permit.
Okay.
And we have different time periods after which you can apply for the German residency, for the German citizenship. The shortest is when you marry a German citizen. Okay. After 3 years, you can apply for that. You have to live with the German citizen mm-hmm. 2 years And then it's the easiest way. My wife did that, for example. Then you have the second level after 6 years with better German language knowledges than B1. Then you can apply for the German citizenship as well. The next, third level is after 7 years, when you have successfully passed an integration course. And the last level is after 8 years. After 8 years, the German authorities are not anymore free to give the citizenship to you. You can ask for that. In German, man hat einen Anspruch darauf.
Okay, so you have a right to
You have a right to demand that.
After how many years?
After 8 years.
Okay.
Whereas you should look at the conditions, how you can get the citizenship.
Okay.
I mean, there should be a German knowledge. There will be a naturalization tests. You can get the questions even online, more than 300, and the authority, it takes about 30 from them, and you have to answer them. For example, where has the European Union been founded, or questions like this.
Okay, which you can of course learn.
You learn.
Okay, good. If there's another question, so if I would like to invest in Germany as a non-European citizen, do I have to register myself in Germany as a director, or how does this work? Is it something I need to know? Because I think your office also is helping in these cases.
I mean, we have consulted investors who have created plants in Germany, and there we were looking for the right investment place. In a lot of cases, the investor himself has proposals where he would like to go by having business connections, or by knowing that at this place he will easily get the personnel for his company, which is decisive, of course. But in that case, we were looking all over Germany to get the best investment place, and we were concentrating on getting subsidies from the German government. So the investor, of course, was very happy that we could manage, in his case, 50% of his whole investment, which was 25 million euros as subsidies from the country and the European Union for the creation of jobs.
Okay.
So this is something which is very important for a businessman who comes here.
Now because we're running a bit out of time, I just want to focus a little bit more on the health insurance, because this is a topic we just discussed briefly.
Yeah.
It's if I want to have a residence permit, what is the minimum or the mandatory health insurance I need to apply for?
Well, you have to know that you need a health insurance in Germany when you have a residence permit. When you're older than 55, the statutory health insurance are not obliged to accept you because of your age. In this case, they are sending you to private health insurance, go to a doctor, he checks you, and then you are looking for getting this private health insurance, which is quite costly. It's per month about 750 euros. But I'm cooperating since a lot of years with a specialized office for health insurances in Germany. We present them the case and they are looking for the best solution.
Okay, good. The last question on this topic, can I do all this myself, or is it, what are your services you offer to your clients?
Of course, you can do everything here, what I'm telling you, by yourself.
Okay.
The question is only, will you successfully get to your destination without losing a lot of time?
So what's your success rate, Mr. Wrangel, if I hire you?
My proposal is get a professional consultant for your intention to come here to invest here to get a residence permit. I mean, we are not so costly that you cannot afford that, but do something together with specialists like with you. If I would like to buy real estate, I would consult you in order to understand whether it's worthwhile to buy that real estate.
So if I consult you, what kind of costs do I have to look into? What's the normal fee you would charge? Do you charge on an hourly base, or you charge on a project base, or how does it work?
I normally charge on an hourly base. We estimate the costs which the client needs for his consultancy. So we sign with him a contract, and as much as he needs us, he pays for that.
Okay.
And he sees from the procedure of how we are going on, whether it's successful, whether he proceeds with that. Let me give you two different examples that you understand the scale of costs which arise. One client is coming to you and tells you, I just want that my mother comes to Germany and lives with me here. I have a residency already. Please organize that. So we are consulting him. We are estimating the amount of work we have. We contact the foreigner office and we get the best solution for his wish. The second person is coming to you. He wants to open a company. He needs to be consulted where he does that, what kind of subsidies he has, and we should contact the local chamber of industry and commerce, because you need that recommendation for the self-employment in order to get the residence permit. It is quite complicated and can take a lot of time.
Okay. So what's the first case? How much does he have to pay? Ballpark figure. What's the first case? Which is straightforward. I want to bring my mom to Germany because she should live with me. What sort of figure you would charge them?
Well,
ballpark.
We can do that within about 10 hours. So that would be some amount of 5,000 euros in order to clear this, because we need the documents from it. Whereas when you would like to come here, do an investment, create a company.
Of course, it's completely different. Yeah,
it's completely different. Or I have clients who even ask me to come to their country to accompany them to the German embassy.
Okay.
And this is the full package we are giving them together with my personnel. The number is completely different.
Okay, good. I think that's great, Mr. Wrangel. Thank you. We now have another 15 up to 20 minutes left. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and where we can respond to them. I have a lot of questions up front, which I would like to go through. So all our listeners and maybe the ones who would listen on YouTube can go through them. So I have the first question. I want to invest in Germany and settle down as a businessman. How does it work and what do I have to consider? What are the costs and are there any subsidies for my business project? I think you just replied to this question. I think we can skip that already. So please contact Mr. Wrangel on the website directly if you want detailed questions like this. He can give you an estimate and a timeline, I would say. How long does it take? Of course, it depends on your project and your business you would like to settle in here in Germany. The second question we have here, how not to lose PR if I want to live abroad for some years. I mean, with PR, I think it's permanent residency. Yeah. How not to lose my permanent residency if I want to live abroad for some years.
Well, we have two kinds of residencies. The normal one asks you to come to Germany within 6 months after you left Germany. Only for 1 second is enough. You have to enter the German territory.
Okay.
If you do not do that, you are losing your German residency.
That's a clear answer.
For those who have a long time EU residency, this can be our blue card holders. This period is 1 year, not 6 months.
Okay. Does buying a flat help with that?
No.
Good. Can I get German citizenship if I try to keep the permanent residence valid for 7 years? Let's say I frequently visit Germany, but totally live in Germany less than 7 years.
Yes, when you calculate that you have your residency here, but this is the main place where you live, and you are leaving and coming, for example, within 1 year, more than 6 months, 6 months and 1 day, and you accumulate this for 7 years, it is less. than the full 7 years period.
Okay.
I mean, it's more than half of that.
Here's another question from Britain. Brexit. Brexit Brit. What do I need to do to stay, get new jobs, and buy a property? This is, I think, a big question. I think buying a property is not the topic of today's session, or today's interview. So, what do I need to do to stay and get a job in Germany? I think you replied to that question already.
I did. There are two ways. Either you are asking for a visa in order to look for a job, or what I personally recommend, you are doing this online from your country.
So for this listener, if you're abroad, especially in Britain, we have a lot of course, British customers who contact us to buy property or to rent property here in Germany in different cities. And this is very straightforward. You can buy it. There's no restrictions to buy property. Nearly 100% of the properties we're selling are freehold. So you can just contact us directly and we help you with that. The big thing is, of course, if you want to raise a mortgage, there are different rules that apply to raise a mortgage for a non-European citizen. So please get in contact with us or watch one of the other videos we have on our YouTube channel, which is focused in buying property for foreigners. There is a good one with lawyer Mr. Volker Mopp, who gives you a more detailed breakdown, which you can see on our YouTube channel. Another question. I'm not a EU citizen and would like to live in Germany permanently. What do I have to pay attention to? And what exactly are my steps? I think you replied to that already.
I replied to
Maybe you can give it a short executive summary of that, maybe one sentence.
Well, if you would like to live here more than 3 months, you need a residence permit. Depending on the purpose of your residency, you should apply for that purpose. I mean, a lot of people will not come here who have an income from abroad, which is regular. They want to do something. Even if they are very wealthy, they would like to work. So they create companies or work for their own company. They do, in most cases, the same business as they have done before.
Okay. So next question is, as a UK and US citizen, which is the best immigration route to follow? And moving to Germany, by which date, bearing in mind the end of the UK-EU transition period on the 31st of December 2020?
Yes, I would come here to Germany and get the residence permit until this time expires. And now if we look at August 2020, you should start now in order to get this residence permit until the end of this year.
Okay. So thanks for answering my question. I have a follow-up question on it. I've a permanent residency based on the blue card and I want to live abroad. If I enter Germany every 5 months, but for short days, then leave, can I apply for German citizen after 7 or 8 years? Or it won't work because I'm not in Germany for a long time within this period. Also to make sure, if I enter Germany every 5 months for 1 day, this is sure that my PR, permanent residency, won't be expired. Thank you. I think we responded to that already.
Yes.
This is a very long question. Do you understand the question?
Yes, a blue card holder who does not want to live here in Germany. You should pay attention that the foreigner office can check whether you live abroad or not by looking into the stamps of your passport. But in these cases, I recommend you to consult our office to find the best way for you.
Yeah, I think this is a more detailed question. I hope we could respond to this today as well. So the next question I have here, I would like to invest in Germany as a businessman. What do I have to consider? I think you responded to that.
I did.
Which costs are related to my investment? I think this really depends on the case, and I advise you to contact directly Mr. Wrangel to present your project and your ideas, and he will give you an estimate. And of course, there are subsidies. I think we spoke about that, depending on what kind of business you would like to open here in Germany.
Let me give you a hint. Trading business will not be subsidized But if you create anything, mainly in a new field, you get a lot of subsidies still today, depending on the region. But this is an issue which has to be discussed with the local Chamber of Industry and Commerce.
Okay. So another question, and then I will reply to the question in the chat that just got in. What are the main criteria I need to apply to get the German citizenship? Maybe you can just give a few bullet points in short.
Residence permit for some time, 3 to 8 years, as I mentioned before, German language knowledge, and let me give that in detail, and we have it. Your identity is clear. You have a residence title in Germany. You are not getting any social help. You are not a criminal. And in most cases, you are ready to give up your own citizenships. I have a lot of clients who do not want this because they want to travel freely to their own country.
Okay.
So they were asking my office to find a way how we can get it. It is an exception in most cases. If you are a German citizen, you normally have to give up your own citizenship.
Okay. So we have another question from the chat. My parents are US citizens, but I live here in Germany with my German wife. Will it be possible for me to bring over my parents to live with me permanently in Germany?
Yes, it is possible. As I mentioned in the beginning, we had that case of a US citizen who got regular income from the United States, and she could make her livelihood by that. So she wasn't obliged to work here. She was making her living by her pension. And the health insurance question was solved as well. The answer is clearly yes in this field.
Perfect. Another question. I'm a British citizen also. I also have a 10-year-old child. She lives with me at the moment. I would like to bring my mom to Germany as she is almost blind. My father died last year. My mom living in Moscow, Russia, and I would like to take care of her. How can I legally bring her here? Well, this is a big question, right?
I have this quite often.
Okay.
From formerly Russian citizens who were getting citizenship of Great Britain and would like to come here.
Microphone.
Excuse me. It is not easy because you have to prove that your mother can make her living in Germany and health insurance. And as I mentioned, the health insurance question is quite expensive here. Mm-hmm. If you solve that, and we have solved that in 2 cases from that region as well, it is possible to bring her here. Of course, she will not get a working permission, but I think this is not the main intention of this question. Correct?
Yes.
Good.
So I think this is another question. I think you should directly contact Mr. Wrangel. I think that's the best one because this is a more detailed question, but I'm sure he will find a solution for you. We have another question from the chat, which I quickly will read out, but in between, I would like to answer a question here. How does an American citizen who's already living in Germany with a residence permit that's renewed year after year, but with great jobs employed by American companies paying in US dollar, get good mortgages financing terms? German banks only seem to want to lend to people being paid in euro, or B, have the way to EU citizenship without German employment, but rather US company employment in Germany. I think you responded to that from an immigration perspective. I just wanted to quickly respond to this question from a broker's view. So, of course, you do get a mortgage in Germany if you're getting paid in US dollars, and even if you're American citizen. However, it's getting more difficult. So I would advise you to contact our international finance broker, Mr. Martin Bonnet. He's also on our YouTube channel, and he responded to that question in detail. Please feel free to send us a direct email, and we will introduce you directly to Martin. Martin Bonnet from Berlin Finance. He's on our website. You can contact him directly. So that's the question you should ask. I know it's not easy, but it's possible. And but it's not the topic of this call today. And I think the way, the second part, pave the way to US citizenship without German employment, but rather US company employment in Germany. Of course, this is possible to get the US citizenship, especially when you look at Germany. I think Mr. Wrangel responded to that also in detail. But of course, you need to prove what you're doing in Germany. And that's something you also should contact Mr. Wrangel directly. Then we have another question. Is it legal to keep Anmeldung while living abroad and visiting Germany every 5 months? I'm on a permanent residence after blue card.
You can keep your residency in Germany as long as you have a residence permit.
I think the question was Anmeldung. I think she's registered in Germany.
Yes.
In I think a flat or an apartment.
Yeah.
There's no problem, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So another question: will Germany make getting a visa any easier for former US citizens who were entitled to residence in Germany, but as things currently stand, are no longer allowed residence from the 1st of January 2021 without visa? I think this question relates to the Brexit.
Yes.
So what's your answer on that? Will there be a special way for Brexit for people who would like to apply for German citizens coming from Britain? Or is there anything you're aware of?
Citizenship? You mean? Or residence?
No. Will Germany make getting a visa any easier for former European citizens who were entitled to residence in Germany, but as things currently stand, are no longer allowed residence from the 1st of January 2020?
Yes, no. I answered this question.
Yeah.
You should get the residency for Germany before this expiration date.
And what happens after? You will be treated like anyone else, right?
Like any non-EU citizen as well. This is the decision the British government has taken with the majority of the British people. If they regret it, it's up to them. I'm sorry. But I can see that a lot of British citizens want to keep the freedom to travel around in Europe. And that is why they are looking not only for residencies, but for citizenships as well.
Okay, we're just running a bit out of time. We just have another 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah.
Not even more questions, so we have to hurry up a little bit. So for blue card holder, the process of becoming Germany permanent residence is faster than the European permanent citizen. What is the difference between the two, especially in the taxpayer perspective? So first of all, Mr. Wrangel is not a tax lawyer, he's an immigration lawyer.
Yeah.
So that's not a question he can respond.
Correct.
Then the next one is, what is the difference between permanent residence and citizenship?
The difference is that a permanent residency is granted to a foreigner in Germany. He can live here as like a German citizen with 2 differences. One is that he does not have the right to elect or be elected. Mm-hmm. The second one is not so vital anymore. It was before German citizens like me had to go to the army when they became 18 years old.
Okay. Is German resident globally taxed?
When you have your residency in Germany, that means you are living here most of your time, more than half a year, then your global world income is taxed.
And nothing to do with the residency, it has to do where you live, right? Where you spend most of the time per year, correct?
It is connected with the registration and the residency.
Okay.
So this is a question which your tax advisor should tell you. But when you are only German citizen, I'm paying taxes on my world income.
Yeah. Is German citizen globally taxed? I think you just responded to this. Yes. How about the pension and health insurance? I think we responded to that already during the call today. Is there any difference for a permanent resident versus a citizenship? I think that's another question. We responded, I think it's the same again. After changing from blue card to permanent residence, in what circumstances will I lose a permanent residence? I think these questions we didn't have before.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a question when you can lose your permanent residency.
Yes.
I had this case once when a person from a non-EU country went to the German embassy, presented her passport, and it came out from the stamps in her passport that she did not spend more than half a year in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
We could see, the German authorities could see that she spent more than half a year outside, I mean in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So the permanent residency was taken from her hands legally. She lost it.
Okay. There are two sayings. One of them is that a person needs to visit Germany once a year, while another thing is that the person has to be stayed in Germany for full 6 months within a year. Which saying is correct?
There are two laws in our Foreigners Act relating to these sentences. The first one says you should not stay longer than half or 1 year abroad, otherwise you will lose your German residency. The second says that the main place of your residence should be in Germany and not abroad. But let this person contact our office by mail.
Yeah, I think that's contact him directly. Yeah. If changing citizenship to German, will I lose a British national overseas nationality and or Hong Kong China nationality?
I'm doing my best that you will not lose it.
Okay. Another question. I'm a British citizenship. What does it change on the 1st of January 2021? I think we responded to that question. What kind of business do I need to have? I think you're pretty free.
You are free to do everything here in Germany. There is no restriction.
Just depends on the subsidies you would like to have, right?
Yes, of course. I mean, if you like to do some business which needs a special permission, you have to get that permission. But you are absolutely free. In general.
So we just have another question in the chat, just to make sure, if I'm living abroad and I visit Germany every 5 months for a few days, is it enough to keep the permanent residence, or do I need to stay 6 months out of each year in Germany? Thanks.
In order to keep your residency, you have to enter Germany once.
Okay.
But the main place where you should live, according to our law, is in Germany.
So you need to live 6 months in Germany, or more than 6 months.
I would like this person to contact me in order to explain more in detail the intention of getting a German residence permit. If he wants to live more than 6 months in another place.
Yes. So please contact Mr. Wrangel directly. There is in Germany the program which is allow you to get permission to live in Germany. For example, if you have your own property or long-lasting renting property in country, and you can prove certain amount of your passive year income. Actually, similar Italian. I think this is a mixed-up question.
Yes, but I have to repeat, and I mentioned this in the beginning.
Yes.
Buying a property or being the owner of real estate in Germany does not give you the right to live in this country.
Yes, I think this is something which you need to know. So it's not like we have the golden visa like in other countries where you buy property and after a certain amount of investment you get this so-called golden visa. It's different here in Germany.
It is easier.
I think the key here is you need to prove that you have rental income, and that the rental income when you buy a property can pay the cost of living you will have here in Germany. I think this is key. Correct, Mr.
Correct.
Wrangel? Perfect. I hope we responded to your question. The next question, once I'm eligible to become a German citizen, how long does the process take? Well, once I'm eligible to become a German citizen, how long does the process take?
Well, the whole process, including the giving back your own citizenship approximately, according to my experience, 1 year, 6 months to 1 year, but
Okay.
not before.
So does owning a property in Germany facilitate the naturalization process? I think we said no to this. Number 17, next question. I would like to open general trading company to export and import. What do I have to consider?
Wonderful. I have such a client now from Kuwait.
Yeah.
They are doing this business in the shipment field.
Yeah.
I sent them to the best place in Germany, which is Bremerhaven. We have the only free port of Germany there. Mm-hmm. And he will open a office there. So we were consulting him to find the right place for his business. So the question is, what do I have to consider? Find the right place where you can do the good business.
Yeah, I think this is an important question. So please ask Mr. Wrangel maybe directly if you want to open business. The place is very important because every place has a different authority and they treat you quite differently depending on what kind of business you would like to offer. The next question, I have the desire to stay as a resident in Germany. I already own one property and I'm considering expanding into the rental market. I have a job in Switzerland as well, and I'm interested in my options for permanent stay. I'm a Canadian. What options do I have?
Let me explain this with a client from Russia who wants to do the same. He's selling his flats in Moscow. I'm helping him to establish a real estate company here in Germany. He's buying flats with that and he's managing that. It's not only one flat. So he's becoming director of his real estate managing company. And by that, he's getting his residency.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Wrangel. Another finance question. It's not part of the of today's interview, but I quickly respond to that. Why ING does not give mortgages to blue card holders? I don't know why ING doesn't do it, but I know they are not doing it. This is correct. And can I convince banks that do not work with blue card holders to give a loan? Of course, you can convince banks, but you should need a specialized international finance broker. Mr. Martin Bonnet, we can highly recommend. You can find him on our website. Please contact him directly or contact our office and we'll give you his contact details. The next questions, I have the last question for today, by the way. I have a 3-year visa permit that will expire in 2021, but I am purchasing a residential property in Berlin this year. I would like to ask about how that purchase will factor into my visa extension. It doesn't. And what sorts of things I need to look out for or attend to in my quest for a longer term resident permit. I think we responded to that question already.
Yes.
If you have a concrete question regarding property, please feel free to contact us. And if you have a question to how to continue your stay in Germany, please contact Mr. Wrangel directly. I hope we already could respond to your question during this call today. We have now I think, invested more than 1 hour. Thank you, Mr. Wrangel, for your time tonight. And for all your listeners, please feel free to contact us, watch the YouTube video. If you have any ideas for other videos you would like to respond to that we should do on this case, please let us know. We're open for your suggestions and for your advice. And there's just the last question. Is it possible for PR holders to get finance of buying with flat with 5% deposit only? No. So I can tell you straight away, this is not possible. You need a higher deposit in Germany. But this again is not part of the call tonight. So please contact Mr. Bonnet on this. Thank you, Mr. Wrangel, again.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time. Very useful. Thank you.